Hey, welcome to the 17 Law Studio. Not my studio, but this is a new place. I know the sound isn't perfect, but hey, we're going to talk about some really cool things today because I'm going to answer your questions. And I've been getting a lot of questions about people who are going to get married. They're about to get married and they're saying, okay, how should I handle certain things, finances or relationship or things before they get married? And I just love that they're asking before they get married because a lot of people don't ask and they don't worry about it. I just hope it all gets better after they get married. But no, it doesn't typically work that way, does it? All you married people. So even if you are married, I think this episode also help you that you've already taken the plunge and you're married, and that's okay. This will apply to you too. But it's mainly it was asked by people getting married, and I just like to jump right in uh, and see what the questions are. And here's one: we're getting married soon, and my wife has some credit cards from a previous marriage that she will have to pay off. How do I ensure she pays those off? She has a decent paying job, so I think she can. I think the question. So he's getting married to this girl who has debt from a previous marriage, and she's those that's her debt, and he's wanting her to make sure that she sticks to it and pays it off, right? Well, the question is flawed. And this is why the question's flawed. It's not her debt when you get married. It's both. The debt belongs to both of you. So it's your debt and it's your wife's debt. So it's not how is she going to pay it off. How are you going to pay it off? So what this also tells me is y'all have never talked about finances other than she has some debt. You probably haven't sat down and said, how much do you make? How much do you make? What do you owe? What does she owe? And what y'all need to agree on a budget, a plan. I hate to say the word budget; it sounds terrible. I like a plan. What's your plan with your money? You have no plan. Well, the people who have no plan for the money means their money usually goes to people who do have a plan. It ends up with whoever the planner is. That's how it works. So if you don't have a plan, so you need to get with your fiance and y'all just need to have that hard discussion and say this, and you probably owe something too that she probably doesn't know about, but you're gonna, oh my gosh, she's not gonna find out about it because she has hers, you have yours. So this would bring me to uh, uh, what if you don't do anything else, you've got to call her and say, hey, we've got to have a meeting. We're going to talk finances. And if she owes something that you didn't find about, or you owe something y'all hadn't talked about, I mean, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. All right, just talk through it and say, it's okay. That's why we're here. We want to talk through all finances. She may say, ooh, I thought you made more money than that. You told me you made more money than that. And you may think certain things about her. This is not that meeting. This is not a relationship meeting. This is a financial meeting. And this is where y'all are going to get together and you're going to sit down and you're going to say, okay, we're going to agree on this is how much money we make. This is what we're going to do with the money. This is our philosophy on saving. This is our philosophy on retirement. This is our philosophy on going in debt. And talk through those things now before you get married. Because if you find out certain things after you get married, it's too late. And it never goes well the longer you wait. So if you're getting married soon, then today, you really need to get together and talk about that. All right. Next question. I'm another one. Getting married in the fall. My soon-to-be husband has some anger issues. I know once we get married, it will get better. What's the best way to deal with this until we get married? I'm so thankful for this question. I can't tell you how many people feel like they're about to get married to someone who has issues. Maybe it's mommy issues, or maybe it's anger issues, maybe it's drug issues, maybe it's whatever issues, just poor decision making issues. Maybe it's all that, and so many people feel like, well, all that gets resolved if we get married. It all just magically goes away at the altar when we say I do. It doesn't. No. It typically gets worse at the altar because now you feel trapped and you can't do anything about it. So in all these cases, I always suggest, get all these things resolved. Deal with the anger issues and then get married. Deal with the drug issues. Deal with the other uh, issues. And I'm not saying those issues are not valid. I mean, a lot of people have been sexually abused as a child. Been beaten. They've had trauma in their lives, or whatever it is going on, and they just need to deal with it. But you need to deal with it before you get married and get to a good spot where you say, okay, we've got a good handle on this, and let's get married. Let's not use marriage as a fix. Marriage does not fix those issues. It usually makes things worse. Those marriages typically don't last. It's usually ugly. And how do you know? How do you know? It's so easy. But most people who are dead set on marrying someone to fix them don't listen. They're pretty stubborn people. And they say, oh, no, you just don't understand. You just don't understand him. You don't understand her like I do. You just don't get it. No, the people around you, all your friends and family, ask them, say, should I marry this person? I guarantee you they're going to say, heck no. If you went to them and said, just be honest. I really want your honest opinion. I'm not going to be mad no matter what you say. I really want your honest opinion. I'm telling you, all your friends and family see it. And when you dive in and it goes bad and then you split up, all your friends and family are going to say, I saw it. I wish you'd have just listened. I wish you'd have asked. I didn't feel like I could have interjected any thoughts in that. That's usually how it happens. So no. If you are going to fix your spouse by marrying your spouse, I've heard of worse ideas. I mean, I can't think of a worse idea, but that's a pretty bad one. Okay. Man, we're plowing through these questions. I hope this helps. Another one, I'm getting married in 4 months, and we're talking about who pays out of which bank account. How do we separate the bills since we both have jobs and separate bank accounts? Love the question. And I can tell you, not everybody agrees with me on this, but here you go. I don't think you ought to have separate bank accounts. I really don't think you ought to have separate bank accounts. By separate bank accounts, is you doing exactly what you're doing. You pay some bills, you pay some others. I've never seen somebody with separate bank accounts who are on a budget, on a plan. You know, part of the budgeting and planning process is that both the husband and the wife know exactly what's going on with every dollar. The reason you have separate bank accounts is because you're trying to hide stuff from your spouse. Now, when does that ever sound like a good idea in a relationship to hide stuff from them? Just be honest. If you made a stupid decision, be honest and apologize, fix it, move on. But sometimes that happens. I don't agree with separate bank accounts. Now, every now and then, I'll have somebody say, well, my husband and I, we have separate bank accounts. And they try to explain it. No, it's tough. I tell you where I have seen separate bank accounts, and this is not really what I mean by separate bank accounts, is where they have separate bank accounts, and this bank account is for savings, and this bank account is for paying bills. But both husband and wife are both involved in both accounts. Well, if you're both involved even if you had 5 accounts, as long as you're both involved in all 5, that's not separate bank accounts from each other. I'm talking about separate bank accounts where he has access to his and he just manages his money and she manages her money. Now, I do know people who are doing okay with that. They're trusting people and all. But I tell you, you're never gonna reach the wealth that you want when it's okay to hide money and spend money and you don't have to tell your spouse about it. Occasionally, of course, birthdays, Christmas, that sort of thing, we're gonna do something. But that's like mad money. That's the cash you kind of hoard throughout the year and you go pay cash for it. That sort of that's not what I'm talking about either. I'm trying. She makes $80,000. He makes $80,000. He has a car payment. She has a car payment. He pays the house. She pays the utilities. He pays for all the stuff that he wants to go do. She pays. What happens is that let's just suppose he saved $100,000 and she saved nothing. Whose $100,000 is that? There you go. It's just like that previous question where they said, hey, trying to make sure my wife pays off the credit card. And he goes into it, it's like, that's not my debt, that's her debt. Well, I guarantee you, if she had $500,000 in the bank, you'd say, oh, I'm marrying a girl, now that's my $500,000. Well, when you marry someone with with money, I mean, you're like all over taking, but you say, yeah, that's mine. Yeah, all right. But if they have debt, oh, that's not my debt. That's not how it works. You marry the person, their debt, their income, their assets, the liability. You're marrying the whole thing. That's why it's good to discuss all this before you get married to get on the same page. So I hope this helps. Uh, we're not going to do separate bank accounts. Just don't do it. This is where a couple they're getting married, but they live far apart. I've seen this surprisingly a bunch of times, and it depends on the couple. But what I recommend you getting married, and then after your honeymoon, y'all move 500 miles apart for a long period of time. No, I would not do that. Oh, we're gonna fly every quarter. Man, that's a that's a tough way to go. Uh, I can tell you what I have seen happen. Just in the last year, I saw where wife wanted to go to school in another state, and then the guy said, "You know what? I'm going to go to that state with her, and I'm going to get a job up there, and then I'm going to come back to the job I really want when she graduates from that school, rather than be apart." I like that. I like that idea. I've seen it where couples will do that, where they both have really good jobs and they're 500 miles apart. But man, that's tough. I would say that that's a terrible idea in most cases. Now, I have seen people do that, and then after a couple of years, they actually are back together and things are going well. I've seen it work a couple of times, but I just cannot imagine asking a young man who got married to go work with a whole bunch of other people, 500, and a lady to have to do that. That would think that would be a really tough thing to ask. That's a tough ask for everybody to say pure and hang around the right people and make the right decisions and all that. Because I have seen people do that and it failed miserably. And not even be 500 miles apart, just a little bit apart. Uh, and and that kind of goes with sometimes when one of them travels a lot and the other doesn't travel a lot, that even that makes it hard. If he's flying out on Monday and back on Friday, the weekend is just hey doing the laundry, doing the yard, getting back on the plane on Monday morning, and then doing it all over again, and then she's left with all the crying kids and the homework and it could be the other way around. It could be the wife flying around doing all that. It could be the husband at home doing all that. But that's really tough. That's where people get resentful, and that's when it's like, yeah, maybe I need to get a different job. Maybe I need to do something different. But that's another tough thing to do. Now the last question here, and again, this is all about couples before they get married. How much money should we have saved before we get married? I think that's just an awesome question. I can tell you how much I had saved. Nothing. And I can tell you a lot of people, nothing. I don't know that that's really the guiding point on whether you should get married or not. But you do have a responsibility to be able to provide for each other, or however you view it in your house. And you're going to have to make it. I would be more concerned about the income and the long-term plan. I would be more concerned about putting together a budget and then our plan, and that plan says, okay, we have nothing. We've got used furniture, hand-me-down furniture, but you graduate in 6 months from whatever school, and you'll probably get a job making this. Yeah, we can do this till then. Or I graduate and then I'm going to, or I like 2 more years of my apprenticeship before I become a full-fledged electrician or whatever the case may be. Yeah, I can do that for a while, as long as there's a plan that we really can make it, that we really can pay our bills and rent and all that, that we're not going to have to run to mom and dad all the time. And if you need to run to mom and dad occasionally when it's like early on, is that a bad thing? I don't think so. I think it's if you got a mom and dad and there's money there and then occasionally can help and take the stress off, and it's not a financial burden on the parents to help from time to time when it's early. Yeah, I'm okay with that. If it's if mom and dad are the ATM, no, I'm 100% against that. No, you need to make it on your own financially. So how much money you need to save to get married? I don't know, that just enough gas money to get to the wedding. That would be enough gas money to get to wherever you're going after the wedding. Enough food for the honeymoon. That's the kind of money for sure. But eventually, well, it depends on where you are. If you're both 50 years old, yeah, I'd probably answer this a little different. So I'm picturing that somebody being 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, or whatever, somewhere in that range. And and there's a plan, like in a short time in the near future, you will have the ability to start making more money and start saving money. So I hope this helps. I do get a lot of questions about before you get married and premarital counseling and things like that, and so it's so important. If you're about to get married, I would highly recommend you find a trusted person, maybe your pastor or somebody who does legitimate premarital counseling, or if you have some. What I love, if you can find another couple that that you look up to, that's a little older and their marriage is great and their kids are great, and you just say, hey, we just want to come talk to you, help us get started off on the right foot, and that could help you as much as anything. Be sure to forward this to everybody you think could actually benefit by watching this, and the only reason I do this is to help, and I hope this helps.